struggle to write this because everyone keeps calling me, and honestly, I can't even really talk anymore. I'm so weak. I almost died Sunday. I was found in a pool of blood from my friend with a face injury as the days, I guess by the worst it is. I fractured my nose, lost some teeth and mobility. The way I look at life now is totally different. As my health is on the mend, my mental journey begins. Pray for me, for real. I don't even know what happened to me.
The city of Atlanta never really shuts down. Neon signs glow through the night. Bass shakes the sidewalks and whispers flow heavier than the Georgia humidity. But this time, the whispers didn't stay quiet. They erupted across timelines, across Instagram pages, across every blog site. Because what was supposed to be a casual Saturday night turned into a bloody mystery. One that ended with Tamar Braxton waking up in her own home. Face shattered, teeth gone, nose broken. And fans asking one chilling question. Was this an accident? Or was this the revenge of Yandy Smith? Let's rewind. Tamar Braxton, no stranger to drama, decided to celebrate the night alongside her close friend Funky Deneva. They started at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, the kind of polished spot where wine glasses clink. Instagram selfies pop off and laughter fills the room for Funky Deneva's birthday. The vibe was meant to be fun, light, and harmless. But when the group later slid into the V12 lounge on Spring Street, the entire energy shifted. Because that's where witnesses claim they saw something nobody expected. Tamar Braxton locked in, not with her girlfriends, not with her friend circle, but allegedly with Mendeecees Harris, the man the world knows as a husband of Yandy Smith. And let's be honest, if you walked into a dark lounge in Atlanta and caught Tamar Braxton laughing too hard, leaning too close, brushing hands with Mendeecees Harris, would you call it innocent? Or would your gut scream this was something more? The people inside didn't hesitate. Eyewitnesses described it as heavy energy, not small talk, not a polite hello, heavy. Tamar Braxton and Mendeecees Harris acting a little too comfortable body language, saying more than their words ever could. And the detail that set social media on fire, they reportedly left together just after 1 a.m. And let's be real, in Atlanta, nothing good comes after 1 a.m. except temptation and trouble. Now pause for a second. Imagine being Yandy Smith, a woman who has defended her marriage on camera. For years, a woman who stood by Mendeecees Harris through prison, through screenshots, through cheating allegations, through the whispers that never stopped. Imagine scrolling through your feed and seeing rumors that your husband just left a club with Tamar Braxton in the middle of the night. Do you shrug it off? Or does rage that's been simmering for years finally boil over? Hours later, Tamar Braxton drops the shock of the year. She woke up drenched in her own blood, teeth missing, nose broken. And yet she says she doesn't remember a thing, no explanation, no details, just silence. And that silence, the streets filled it in themselves, the timeline felt too sharp to ignore. Tamar Braxton leaves with Mendeecees Harris. A car takes them back to her house. Even Funky Deneva admitted it. He said he was at Tamar's after party. He confirmed the car, the invitation, the house, while he claimed he didn't stay long. Upstairs, what he revealed lined up perfectly with what fans already suspected. So, if the car dropped Mendeecees Harris at Tamar Braxton's home, and hours later Tamar is left bloody, can anyone blame people for wondering if Yandy Smith found out? Because that's where the Yandy revenge theory exploded online. Jokes, memes, captions saying she sent people to teach a lesson. But under the sarcasm, fans began whispering, maybe it wasn't a joke at all. Maybe Yandy Smith snapped. And here's why the theory hit so hard. Cracks in Yandy and Mendeecees' marriage were no secret. Their relationship troubles have played out in front of millions. Cheating allegations have followed Mendeecees Harris for years. Screenshots, DMs, receipts dragged out by bloggers. Even Tasha K herself has put his name in the headlines, exposing audio clips and claims from women who insisted they had something with him. And when Tasha K calls you out, the internet pays attention. It didn't stop there. Remember when Alexis Sky's friend went live on Instagram, yelling that Mendeecees Harris had been cheating since he and Yandy Smith first joined the show? Even though Alexis later backtracked, the seed was planted. Fans began repeating it like gospel. Mendeecees can't be trusted. And even Yandy Smith herself gave people reason to doubt. She once admitted she formed an emotional connection with a trainer from London. That wasn't a random rumor. It came from Yandy's own mouth on camera, which only proved the marriage was already fractured. So when you add fiery, unpredictable Tamar Braxton into that fragile equation, you get the perfect recipe for scandal. But this is where the story splits. On one hand, you've got witnesses and timelines pointing to Tamar Braxton and Mendeecees Harris vibing to close for comfort. On the other, A screenshot surfaces claiming Mendeecees was only involved for professional reasons, that he was allegedly cast in Tamar's upcoming visuals, that Funky Deneva even had a cameo, that it was all work, no play. If that's true, why isn't anyone buying it? Because the excuse feels to need to polished. Fans are saying, show us the visuals then. And if Mendeecees Harris is missing when that video drops, the professional story falls apart instantly. So here's a real question, was this about business? Or was this the start of an affair that triggered Yandy Smith's breaking point? If Yandy Smith did decide she'd had enough humiliation, is that how Tamar Braxton ended up waking up with her face broken? Think about it, even Funky Deneva admitted. Tamar texted him the next morning at 10 a.m. asking for a dentist. Not a meme, not a hangover joke, a desperate request for medical help. Why would she need that if the night ended harmlessly? And remember, in Atlanta, nothing stays secret. When Tamar Braxton is seen with Mendeecees Harris, it won't stay in the lounge, it spreads like wildfire, and suddenly the question shifts. It's no longer what happened to Tamar Braxton, it's who made it happen. So let's be real. If you were Yandy Smith, married to a man who's been accused of cheating again and again, would you let him walk out with Tamar Braxton? Or would you finally do what no camera has ever caught, strike back? And this, right here, is only the beginning. The receipts are messy, the timeline doesn't lie, and the city of Atlanta is screaming one name, Yandy Smith. So let's ask the real question, if this time the whispers actually came to life, if this time Tamar Braxton really got caught slipping with Mendeecees Harris, would Yandy Smith just sit back and swallow it? History says no, because this isn't the first time Mendeecees Harris has been dragged through the mud for creeping. The receipts are endless. Tasha K exposed him with alleged DMs, audio clips, and late-night phone calls from women swearing they've been with him. And whether you like Tasha K or not, one thing is true, when she speaks, the internet listens. Then came Alexis Sky's friend, going live and straight up yelling that Mendeecees Harris had been cheating since day one. Sure, Alexis later apologized, but the damage was done. The seed was planted. Mendeecees Harris can't be trusted. Yet through all of this, Yandy Smith stayed through the prison stretch, through the screenshots, through reunion tears, but even the strongest woman has a breaking point. And the streets believe Tamar Braxton walked straight into that breaking point, without even realizing it. Picture the scene in Tamar's house that night. The after-party vibe is buzzing, laughter from the club still in the air. Maybe Mendeecees Harris was really there, maybe he wasn't, the witnesses are split. But one fact is undeniable, Tamar Braxton went to bed fine and woke up destroyed. Blood on her sheets, teeth missing, nose shattered, no explanation. No clarity. If this was just a clumsy accident, wouldn't Tamar Braxton have said so by now? Wouldn't she clear Mendeecees Harris' name if he had nothing to do with it? Instead, she's quiet, silent, and silence in a storm like this speaks louder than anything else. Then came a so-called cover story. A screenshot floated around, claiming Mendeecees Harris wasn't creeping at all, that he was supposedly cast in Tamar Braxton's upcoming visuals, that even Funky Deneva had a cameo, that everything fans saw at the lounge and afterward was strictly business. But doesn't that sound a little too clean, too neat? Because of Tamar Braxton, one of the loudest and boldest women in the game, was really working on a secret visuals project. Why hasn't there been a single promo? Not one teaser, not even a leaked clip. And why does the so-called professional timeline line up exactly with the same night Tamar ended up battered? Let's be real, that explanation might work in the short run, but fans aren't stupid. If new content rolls out and Mendeecees Harris is missing, the entire excuse falls apart instantly. And then the question isn't just why lie? It becomes what was really being covered up. And here's the detail that hits the hardest. Funky Deneva himself admitted he got a text from Tamar Braxton the very next morning. A message at 10 a.m. asking him for a dentist. That's not playful. That's not last night was wild, that's desperation. That's a woman waking up broken and needing medical help. That's not what happens after a harmless hangout, that's the aftermath of violence. So, who was behind it? Was it random? Did Tamar fall? Or did somebody make sure she felt the consequences of getting too close to the wrong man? Fans keep circling back to Yandy Smith, because if you've watched her journey, if you've seen her fight tooth and nail to protect her family image, then you know she doesn't play about her marriage. And while the cameras have never caught Yandy Smith putting hands on another woman, the streets aren't buying the idea that she wouldn't handle business off camera if she had to. This is where the story turns darker. Social media turned the Yandy revenge rumor into a running joke. Memes of Tamar Braxton with captions like "Don't mess with another woman's husband." Comments under her posts asking if Yandy's cousin Kesha pulled up. People laughed, retweeted, and joked as if this wasn't domestic violence but comedy. But under all that sarcasm is something grim. Tamar Braxton is hurt, she's scared. She woke up with her face rearranged. That's not entertainment, that's trauma, and you can't ignore Tamar's history either. Ever since her breakup with Vince, her life has been a spiral. Feuds, meltdowns, public breakdowns. Tamar Braxton has never been a stranger to chaos. But this wasn't emotional, this was physical, this was bloody. And it tied directly to a man whose marriage was already hanging by a thread. Which leaves us with 3 possible truths. 1. Tamar Braxton and Mendeecees Harris really were creeping. They left the club together. And Yandy Smith or someone tied to her made sure Tamar paid for it. 2. It was all business. Strictly professional, and the accident really was just that, an accident. 3. The truth is a mix of both. Maybe there was a project. Maybe the vibes blurred. And maybe someone, whether Yandy, a jealous fan, or just Tamar's own reckless choices, turned the night into a nightmare. But here's what keeps the story alive. Tamar Braxton hasn't cleared the air. She hasn't defended herself. She hasn't defended Mendeecees Harris. She hasn't even posted a proper statement. Beyond that disturbing glimpse of blood and broken teeth and silence, when the entire internet is screaming, is damning. Think about it. Tamar Braxton loves the spotlight. She thrives on attention. If this was innocent, wouldn't she already be on Instagram Live, clapping back at blogs, shutting down the rumors? Instead, nothing. Which makes fans believe the worst. Meanwhile, Yandy Smith stays calm. No rant, no meltdown, just silence, which fans are reading as strategy because silence can mean protection. Silence can mean patience. But silence can also look like guilt. And then there's Mendeecees Harris, playing his usual role, invisible when drama explodes, denying nothing, confirming nothing, letting the women around him fight the battles his choices ignite. And isn't that the most Mendeecees Harris thing you've ever heard? So here we stand. Tamar Braxton's face is broken. Yandy Smith's name is trending. Mendeecees Harris is right in the middle. Funky Deneva is dragged into the story. Tasha K is on the sidelines, smirking because she's been warning the world about Mendeecees for years, and the internet is locked on one question: did Tamar Braxton really cross the line? And did Yandy Smith make sure she paid the price? Because whatever happened, this wasn't just a Saturday night. This was a collision of loyalty, betrayal, and ego. And the blood on Tamar Braxton's sheets is a proof. Now, if you were Tamar Braxton, waking up broken and bruised, would you still call it an accident? Or would you admit somebody sent you a message? By the time the sun rose over Atlanta, the whispers had become chaos. Hashtags trended, screenshots spread, and fans became detectives. And in the middle of that firestorm, 3 names refused to fade: Tamar Braxton, Mendeecees Harris, Yandy Smith. Twitter was ruthless. Memes mocked Tamar, jokes spread about Yandy's work, and side-by-side photos of her before and after went viral. Cruel, messy, but viral because in the love and hip-hop world, pain is entertainment and scandal is content. But beyond the laughs came real questions. Where's the footage? Who else was in that house? Why hasn't Tamar spoken? And the loudest one of all, why is Yandy so quiet? Here's the truth. Tamar Braxton had every chance to end this, to clear her name, to shut down the mess. But instead, nothing. No long caption, no clapback, no explanation. And for a woman who has built a career off being loud and unfiltered, that silence screams louder than any denial could. And fans, digging deeper, started pulling up old clips of Tamar Braxton herself. Clips where she laughed about mess. Clips where she admitted she attracts drama. Clips where she admitted attention keeps her going. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. Was Tamar really a victim? Or had she been playing with fire until she finally got burned? Meanwhile, Mendeecees Harris kept playing his same old role, silent when chaos strikes, letting the women deal with the fallout. No statement, no post, just the same invisible stance that only adds fuel to the flames. Row Mendeecees Harris, chaos always swirls. And maybe that's the most dangerous part, because while the world argues, while Yandy Smith, Tamar Braxton, and bloggers like Tasha K and Funky Deneva take all the hits, Mendeecees Harris stays silent. Silence is his shield. Silence is his survival. But silence doesn't clear your name. It only lets people write the story for you. And then there's Yandy Smith. Her silence wasn't weakness, it was power. No angry rants, no messy clapbacks, just a clean Instagram feed full of family moments, business deals, and polished smiles. As if her husband's name wasn't being dragged through every blog in Atlanta. But fans weren't fooled. They saw her silence as strategy, because when you don't say a word, people fill in the blanks themselves. And the blanks painted Yandy Smith as a woman who doesn't argue with side chicks. She erases them. The woman who doesn't scream in public. She moves quietly, efficiently, like a strategist in the shadows. But could it really be Yandy Smith? That's the $1 million question. Some fans swear they saw whispers of her cousin's name floating through the gossip. The infamous Cousin Kesha, known in Atlanta for being the enforcer, the one who handles business when words don't cut deep enough. Did Kesha pull up? Did she handle the situation while Yandy Smith kept her image clean? No proof, no receipts, just rumors, but in the streets of Atlanta, rumors are sometimes stronger than evidence. And while all this boiled over, the bloggers feasted. Tasha K didn't even have to move a muscle. She just sat back, one glass in hand, smirking, because she had already told the world months ago that Mendeecees Harris was unfaithful. She had already dropped her so-called receipts, and now, with Tamar Braxton lying broken, her warnings looked more accurate than ever. Meanwhile, Funky Deneva found himself dragged right into the center of a storm he never signed up for. All he did was celebrate his birthday, eat dinner, hit a lounge, and ride along to Tamar Braxton's house. But the second he admitted he was there, the second he admitted Tamar texted him for a dentist the next morning, he became the most credible witness in the entire timeline. Suddenly, Funky Deneva's words were being quoted in every thread, every recap, every YouTube breakdown. Whether he liked it or not, Funky Deneva became the man with the receipts. But here's the truth nobody wanted to admit: Tamar Braxton's accident wasn't just gossip, it was trauma. A woman woke up in her own house battered, teeth missing, blood soaking her sheets, and instead of compassion, the internet mocked her. Instead of sympathy, they turned her pain into memes and captions. That's the ugliest part of it all. Not whether Yandy Smith sang goons, not whether Mendeecees Harris cheated, but how quickly black women's suffering gets turned into a punchline. Still, speculation didn't stop. Fans demanded closure. Was Tamar Braxton really creeping with Mendeecees Harris? Did Yandy Smith really retaliate? Was Mendeecees Harris guilty? Or just guilty by silence? Maybe we'll never know. Maybe Tamar Braxton will never speak. Maybe Yandy Smith will never admit. Maybe Mendeecees Harris will never confess. And that's exactly why the scandal won't die. Because the messiest stories are the ones without endings. So what do we really have? We have Tamar Braxton, a woman whose career has been a roller coaster of fame and breakdowns, now scarred both physically and emotionally. We have Mendeecees Harris, a man who thrives in silence while chaos consumes everyone around him. We have Yandy Smith, painted by fans as both victim and villain, the loyal wife and the silent enforcer. We have Funky Deneva, dragged unwillingly into the chaos, his words twisted into evidence. We have Tasha K, sipping from the sidelines, knowing her "I told you so" is louder than anything else. And we have millions of fans scrolling, tweeting, dissecting every frame, because in the end the truth doesn't even matter. The scandal itself is the entertainment. But let me leave you with this: if Tamar Braxton really did cross the line with Mendeecees Harris, then she stepped into a marriage that was already breaking. If Yandy Smith really did retaliate, then she proved that even the most polished wife has a point where loyalty turns to vengeance. And if this really was just an accident, then Tamar Braxton's silence is letting the world paint a narrative that she may never escape. So ask yourself, if you woke up like Tamar Braxton, bleeding and broken after a night like that, would you stay quiet? Or would you speak? And if you were Yandy Smith, humiliated once again by the man you sacrificed everything to defend, would you just let it slide? Or would you finally strike back? The answers may never come, but the questions, they will echo through Atlanta for years, because this wasn't just a random night out. This was betrayal, revenge, and silence colliding in the ugliest way possible. And one thing about Atlanta, the streets never lie. They just wait. They wait for the truth to slip, and when it finally does, the world won't be ready.